A unit prefix is a specifier or mnemonic that is prepended to units of measurement to indicate multiples or fractions of the units. Units of various sizes are commonly formed by the use of such prefixes. The prefixes of the metric system, such as kilo and milli, represent multiplication by powers of 10. In information technology it is common to use binary prefixes, which are based on powers of 2. Historically, many prefixes have been used or proposed by various sources, but only a narrow set has been recognized by standards organizations. Metric prefixes. The prefixes of the metric system precede a basic unit of measure to indicate a decadic multiple and fraction of a unit. Each prefix is a unique symbol that is prepended to the unit symbol. Some of the prefixes date back to the introduction of the metric system in the 1790s, but new prefixes have been added, and some have been revised. The International Bureau of Weights and Measures has standardized 20 metric prefixes in resolutions dating from 1960 to 1991 for use with the International System of Units. Although formally in use, the SI disallows combining prefixes. The microkilogram or centimillimeter, for example, are not permitted. Prefixes corresponding to powers of 1000 are usually preferred, however, units such as the hectopascal, hector, decibel, centimeter, and centiliter, are commonly used. In mathematical contexts, the unit prefixes are always considered part of the unit, so that, for example, in exponentiation, 1 kilometer 2 means 1 square kilometer not 1000 square meter and 1 centimeter 3 means 1 cubic centimeter not 1/100th of a cubic meter. In general, prefixes are used with any metric unit, but may also be used with non-metric units. Some combinations, however, are more common than others. The choice of prefixes for a given unit has often arisen by convenience of use and historical developments. Unit prefixes that are much larger or smaller than encountered in practice are seldom used, albeit valid combinations. In most contexts only a few, the most common, combinations are established. For example, prefixes for multiples greater than 1000 are rarely applied to the gram or meter. Some prefixes used in older versions of the metric system are no longer used. The prefixes myria double and demi, denoting a factors of 7004100000000 unregistered trademark 10,000, 2 and 1 are 2 respectively, were parts of the original metric system adopted in France in 1795, but they were not retained when the SI prefixes were agreed internationally by the 11th CGPM conference in 1960. The prefix myria was an alternative spelling variant for myria, as proposed by Thomas Young. Binary prefixes. A binary prefix indicates multiplication by a power of 2. The 10th power of 2 has the value 700310240000000 unregistered trademark 1024, which is close to 70031000000 unregistered trademark 1000. This has prompted the use of the metric prefixes kilo, mega, and giga to also denote the powers of 1024, which is common in information technology with the unit of digital information, the byte. Units of information are not covered in the International System of Units. Computer professionals have historically used the same spelling, pronunciation and symbols for the binary series in the description of computer memory, although the symbol for kilo is often capitalized. For example, in citations of main memory or RAM capacity, kilobyte, megabyte and gigabyte customarily mean 700310240000000 unregistered trademark 1024, 70061048576000000 unregistered trademark 1,048,576 and 7009107374182400000 unregistered trademark 1,073,741,824 bytes respectively. In the specifications of hard disk drive capacities and network transmission bit rates, on the other hand, decimal prefixes, consistent with the metric system, are used. For example, a 500 GB hard drive holds 500 billion bytes, and a 100 megabit per second Ethernet connection transfers data at 100 million bits per second. The ambiguity has led to some confusion and even of lawsuits from purchasers who were expecting 220 or 230 and considered themselves shortchanged by the seller. Holdings, Incorporated. To protect themselves, some sellers write out the full term as 7006100000000 unregistered trademark 1 million. With the aim of avoiding ambiguity, the International Electrotechnical Commission adopted new binary prefixes in 1998. Each binary prefix is formed from the first syllable of the decimal prefix with a similar value, and the syllable B. The symbols of a decimal symbol, always capitalized, followed by the letter I. According to these standards, kilo, mega, giga, would only be used in the decimal sense. Even when referring to data storage capacities, kilobyte and megabyte would denote 1000 and 1 million bytes respectively, while new terms such as kibibyte, megabyte and gigabyte, with symbols KIB, MB and GIB, would denote 210, 220 and 230 bytes respectively. The new prefixes have mainly been used in scientific or technical literature. Their adoption in popular publications remains limited. Unofficial prefixes, many personal, and sometimes facetious, proposals for additional metric prefixes have been formulated. The prefix Bronto, as used in the term Brontobyte, has been used to represent anything from 1015 to 1027 bytes, most often 1027. The SI includes standardized prefixes for 1015, 1018, 1021 and 1024. In 2010, an online petition sought to establish Hella as the SI prefix for 1027, a movement that began on the campus of UC Davis. The prefix, which has since appeared in the San Francisco Chronicle, Daily Telegraph, Wired and some other scientific magazines, was recognized by Google, in a non-serious fashion, in May 2010. Ian Mills, president of the Consultative Committee on Units, considers the chances of official adoption to be remote. The prefix Japan term gigabyte has been used in the tech industry to refer to 1030 bytes following Brontobyte. The ascending prefixes peta, ixa, zeta, and iota are based on the Greek-derived numeric prefixes penta, hexa, hepta, and octa or octo. In addition, the final letters of the alphabet, Z and Y, appear in the largest SI prefixes, zeta and iota. Similarly, the descending prefixes zepto and iocto are derived from either Greek hepta and octo or Latin septum and octo plus the initial letters Z and Y. The initial letters were changed because S and H, from previously proposed ascending hepta and ascending septo, were already used as SI units and prefixes, and because the O of octo could be confused with 0. The CGPM has decided to extend this ZA-Y backwards through the alphabet, though it is not clear if the distinction of the historically related sets of letters UW and IJ would be retained, or if letters such as S and T, which are already in use as SI units or prefixes, will again be skipped. Several personal proposals have been made for extending the series of prefixes, with ascending terms such as Zena, Wekar, Vendekar, Dekar, and Dekar, and descending terms such as Xono, Weko, Fundu, Dek, Unk. Using Greek for ascending and Latin for descending would be consistent with established prefixes such as deca, hecto, kilovolts deci, centi, milli. Although some of these are repeated on the Internet, none are in actual use. References. External links: Moderna Lab Single Molecule Research page of moles. Scientific paper with reference, Vendekar.org homepage for the use of the non-SI prefix Vendekar to represent 10 to the power of 33, as in Vendikabyte.